Alright, I'm going to teach Dust in the Wind today. I'm going off my cell phone today because my computer has a new motherboard, so I'm just loading up all my programs. But I was going to take today off, but I always want to do a video on Saturday and I didn't want to miss a day. So I'm doing Dust in the Wind today. I've been wanting to do it for a while, and it's perfect because I keep forgetting my whiteboard at work and I need it for this lesson. So what's really cool about Dust in the Wind is that there's an interesting pattern going on underneath some chords. So here's how it works. First of all, you've got only two chords in the intro. You've got the C chord and the A minor chord, and they repeat twice. All right? So I got my C chord and my A minor chord repeating twice. Now, if you're doing this song, you need to know those chords. If you don't know those chords, this might be too advanced for you, so I'm not going to explain those. Let's make sure this is not a Sharpie. Now, above those chords, there's a three-note pattern happening. It goes C, B, and D. What happens is that pattern keeps repeating itself, but it's being forced into groupings of 4 beats to match with the chords. And what happens is when C, B, D repeats itself before that 4-note pattern is over, you get C. Then you get B, D, C, B. See, there's a pattern again, right? C, B, D, C, B, D, C, B, D, C, B, D, and I got 1 beat left over, so that's going to be a C, all right? Now I'll explain what I'm talking about right now. So when you're playing a C chord, on the B string right there, underneath your first finger, that note is a C. And when I lift it, I open up the B string, and I get a B note. Take your pinky, put it on the 3rd fret of that B string, same string we've been playing with, and that makes the note D. And then I go back to normal C. So what that means is I have a C chord with 1 note changing, and that changing note is C, B, D, C. My pattern continues with an A minor chord, but now my melodic pattern is B, D, C, B. So I go play my A minor chord, but take out my first finger, and I play B, D. So I put that pinky in, right, on the note D, go back to C, which is more of a normal A minor chord, and then take off that first finger. So my next pattern is a C chord, and the melody notes are D, C, B, D. So I go C chord, but what I'm going to do is put my pinky finger on there, so I get that D note. D, C, B, D. Then an A minor chord with my first finger in there, so it's a normal A minor chord, and I go C, B, D, C. So let's see if I can hold this up here and do that for you. And what you're going to want to do is possibly like pause the video here and practice this so you can memorize the pattern. So here we go. This might work. C, B, D, C, B, D, C, B, D, C, B, D, C, D, C. Right? So that's the chord pattern. And then the last part of it is super easy. You have to do this picking pattern called the Travis picking pattern, which I'll show you in a second. But you just take those chords, the pattern, apply the Travis picking finger pattern, boom, you get Dust in the Wind. So I find it so cool that it's just like there's 3 elements. There's the chords, the melodic pattern, which is a 3-note pattern, forced into 4 beats to make it more interesting, and then this Travis picking pattern I'm going to show you now, and then put those together, you get Dust in the Wind. It's like a baking recipe or something. Now, let's pull this closer and look at my right hand. So, the right hand pattern, you're always going to be using your thumb and your middle finger, your thumb and your index finger, like this. My thumb and my middle are going to play the B and A string together at the same time. Then I'm going to do thumb on my D string, followed by index on G. So these go together. Gotta be middle and thumb. Thumb, index. Make sure you're using the same fingers, because the pattern doesn't work as well if you're not. So Then I do my thumb on A, middle on B, then thumb on D, index on G. So I go. Now here's how I think of it. I realize that my thumb and my middle finger are only playing A and B together. My thumb and index are only playing D and G together. And they're alternating. I call it the outside strings and the inside strings. And the pattern really just goes outside, inside, outside, inside. But another aspect of it is that you break these things apart. The very first one is not broken, it's together. But then you break the other two patterns apart, always leading with the thumb. So I'm going together, separate, 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 together, separate, separate, separate. You work on that for a while until you can speed it up enough. You can probably start slow anyway. And then you put it together like this. So each chord with the melody note gets a full pattern. So I have my C down, give it a full pattern, lift that finger, give it a full pattern, put my pinky in. And the rest of the song is played that way, so if you learn the chords, you can just play the rest of the song. And so on. Alright, enjoy that. I'll see you next week with my new computer all set up.